Jesse, back in Lome, Togo.
Yes.
We're now continuing on. You talked about the three categories that you like to really hammer home.
Right.
Remind us of the three categories again, and let's go right into the first one.
So we have the ground zero, which is the Bible. And every conversation goes back to that. The bread and butter, which is the gospel, essentially that Jesus died for sins.
Crucifixion.
And that's where we win, because Islam is against history.
Yeah.
So we win there if we say the argument right. And then thirdly is the stumbling block, that Jesus is divine. And when we deal with that, we can easily deal with the Trinity and many other issues. So yeah, those are the three primary issues, and they're all, except for the Bible, it's all centered on Christology. That's where we need to focus, because most of the objections that Muslims have are related to Christology.
So let's start with the first one then. Ground zero.
Exactly.
The Bible.
The Bible. So Muslims essentially claim three things related to the Bible. One, they'll say that the Bible is corrupted in some way, some undefined way usually. Number two, they would say, and this is a different claim, that the Torah that the Qur'an mentions and the gospel that the Qur'an mentions are not in the Bible.
Yeah.
So that's another claim. And then the third claim that they'll make about the Bible is that Muhammad is prophesied in the Bible.
Huge.
Yeah.
He needs credibility.
But already there you see that in the Islamic worldview is a fundamental contradiction. At one point they're affirming the Bible, saying Muhammad is in the Bible, and then at another point they're denying the Bible, saying it's corrupted and fake, or not the Injil or the Torah at all. And so this is a fundamental contradiction in Islam. There's 25 prophets mentioned in the Quran, right?
Right.
And 22 of them or 23 of them are biblical prophets.
No, 19 of them are biblical prophets.
Okay.
4 are ones we don't know.
We don't know their names.
They could be Zoroastrian,
Could
and
be
2
Isaiah,
of them are Ishmael and Muhammad.
Right, there's a few
but
different...
19, the vast majority, are all biblical from the line of
all
Isaac.
biblical prophets. And it's not just the prophets, it's the characters, it's the stories. So the Quran depends upon the Bible, but the Bible doesn't depend upon the Quran. And when you have a foundation that then you turn around and you say that foundation is false and you destroy that foundation, you don't have a lot to stand on, right?
No.
And so that's why this is such a crucial issue for Christians, and where we have the advantage.
And where's the advantage here? Help us here. Help the people who are watching. What does the Quran say about the Bible?
So let me give you 2 verses.
Okay.
2 simple verses. Surah 29:46. 29:46 is a great one for Christians to memorize.
This is the one we use at Speaker's Corner every Sunday.
Absolutely.
By the way.
And I love this verse because it will show you that the Quran in no way taught Muslims that the Bible was corrupted or false, and the Quran actually teaches the opposite.
Yeah.
The Quran commands Muslims to believe in the Bible. And
Chapter
that's a
4,
problem.
verse 136 says that.
Many verses. Chapter 5, 43 through 48.
Now that's for Christians to believe in their Bible.
The Torah, the
Bible.
Jews, and the Christians.
Yeah.
The Jews and the Christians. The Jews are supposed to judge by the Torah that they have.
We're to measure everything.
And the Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's read this verse and people can hear it themselves. It says, "Do not argue with the people of the Scripture." The Scripture in Arabic is al-kitab, or al-kitabi. So that means the book. So Christians are called the people of the book. Now most Muslims don't know, and some of you may be watching here, that the word Bible literally means the book.
That's
or
right.
the books,
The books.
right? And so the Quran mentions the Bible over and over and over. It talks about us, the people of the book. Yeah. And then it goes on to say...
Al-Kitab means people of the book. That's Jews and Christians.
Exactly. So today if you go to an Arabic country, the Bible is called Al-Kitab al-Muqaddas, the Holy Bible. So the Quran talks about the Bible over and over and over. And it says, "Don't argue with them, except in a way that is best, except for those who commit injustice among them, and say, we believe in that which has been revealed to us and revealed to you. And our God and your God is one, and we are Muslims in submission to him." So Muslims are actually commanded by the Quran to say, we believe in the book of Christians.
Yeah.
What book is that? That's the Bible.
Yeah.
And then...
Now, it says more specifically also in chapter 5 and also in chapter 4, the Torah and the Injil. So it specifies
Exactly, yes.
those two, the books of Moses. And the Injil, Muslims assume that's the whole New Testament. They don't realize that's actually the Gospels.
And how could the Quran not be talking about the whole Bible?
That's right.
One of the chapters of the Quran is named after Jonah.
There you
Jonah
go.
is an obscure book in the Bible.
Not
right?
the Torah or the Injil.
Exactly. Many things are referenced that come from outside the Torah, Zabur, which is the Psalms, and the Injil. And so the Quran has the whole Bible in view. It makes no sense to claim that it doesn't. And then 1094, Allah speaks to Muhammad and says, if you have any doubts about what we've revealed to you, go and ask the people of the Al-Kitab that came from before you. How could the books have been corrupted if Allah is telling Muhammad to ask people of the book in that time period?
Sending them back to a corrupted book.
Right. They couldn't have been corrupted.
That's right.
So were they corrupted after the 7th century? And you know that our Bible is based off manuscripts that come from far earlier, etc., etc.
Now we're going to have to bring it down there. The sun's, the light is going, but
Exactly,
this
yeah.
is the first part of the corruption issue. So you're going to go
Right.
into two more areas when we come back. So it's obvious that the Quran very much supports the Bible. We could go on to chapter 21, verse 7, which says the same thing at 1094. You could also go on to chapter 5, verse 68, which is very clear that we must, if we don't measure by the Bible that which we do, we are going to be condemned. And probably the last we'll end off with is chapter 2, verse 79, which Muslims will say proves that we have corrupted it, or the Jews have corrupted it. You need to go to verse 78. Which says which Jews they're talking about. Those who do not know the book. So that means they don't read the Bible.
Right.
They but guess. They write with their own hands and call it the book. This is the Apocryphal writings. This is the Mishnah. This is the Talmud.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that later. In fact,
So-
I want to unpack that a little bit, but we don't have the time
Absolutely.
tonight. But can you see, the Quran, there's not one verse in the entire Quran that says that we have corrupted our book.
Exactly.
Okay, on this issue of corruption, what's the
Yeah.
last thing you want to say, Jesse?
Yeah, so that the Muslims have several options. So can they tenably say that the Torah that the Quran is talking about is not the Torah in the Bible? No, they really can't say that. That's an absurd argument. It really is. So the people, scholars are mostly not saying that. What Muslims then say is part of what's in the Bible is true and part is false. So that's the corruption argument. But here's the problem with that. How do they know what's true and what's not true?
You know what they say? That which agrees with the Quran.
Exactly. But why is that a problem? It's a problem because what if Muhammad is a false prophet? What if Muhammad is a false prophet?
There's another problem. Muhammad never says it's corrupt. It's not in the Sirah. It's not in the Tafsir. It's not in the Hadith. It's not in the Tahrir. So where did this idea of corruption come from? It's not in the Quran. It was begun by a man named Ibn Hazm in 1056. Look at the date. Muhammad died in 632. The Quran was supposedly written in 652. 1056. Can you see it? That's 400 years later. There was no reference of
Right.
corruption for 400 years until Ibn Hazm actually introduced it, because he was the first one to read the Bible and realize, wait a minute,
Right.
there's lots of contradictions between the Bible and the Quran. And so he started this whole idea. This is not an early idea. This is a very late idea. So obviously this is a human problem. This is a problem that Muslims had to come up with. So what did he say? The Bible's been corrupt.
So what's the real reason that Muslims deny the Bible? The Quran contradicts the Bible.
There you go.
That's the real reason, and that is such a problem for them, because how can you judge a previous prophet by a later prophet? Then how do we know who a false prophet is?
Or a previous book by a later book.
So this is an example. Jesus tells us when you pray, Matthew 6:9 through 11, say, "Our Father in heaven." And yet Muhammad in Surah 5:18 denies that Allah is the Father and commands Christians not to say that God is the Father, their Father. So Muhammad is contradicting Jesus. He's a false prophet. And yet Muslims are saying we need to judge the previous books by a later book. That is faulty
We're
reasoning.
going to hammer this when we come to the crucifixion, the historical. How do you test history? Not by what comes later, but the eyewitness account. Great stuff, Jesse. This has been good. I hope you're convinced, and I hope those who are watching, what Jesse is doing here is he's really giving quick answers to very good questions. God bless you. It's been great to be with you.
Yeah.
We're going to then continue with the other two areas of corruption in the next videos. This is Jay and Jesse here in Lome.
God
Over and
bless.
out.